Hey, what's up, Foreclosure Fix family, and welcome to another episode of the Foreclosure Fix podcast, where our goal is to help 1 million homeowners successfully navigate foreclosure. Now, if that mission resonates with you, do me a favor, like, subscribe, and share our content with someone who you know it can benefit. And check out a copy of our latest book called The Foreclosure Fix, 12 proven steps to beat the bank, escape foreclosure, and turn your property into a profitable asset. On today's episode, I am looking forward to diving into the 4 key takeaways that I've learned from working with homeowners facing foreclosure over the last 15 years and from being a real estate investor. I often get asked about my real estate career and where the mission behind the Foreclosure Fix family has come from and what type of things that have shaped or molded my life and my business career. And there's a few things and a few situations in my career that have come up that really have shaped my view on business, on foreclosure, on life, and on how to handle difficult times. And so on today's episode, I just want to kind of go through at a very high level some of those experiences, what I learned from them, and 4 key takeaways that if you're facing foreclosure and you don't know what to do, that you can kind of just sit with and rest with, resting assured that the future is going to be better than it is today. All right. So with that, my first takeaway and the first thing I want to say is don't be afraid of trying to start something new, because if it doesn't work out, it could be the start of something else. I know oftentimes I talk to people who are facing foreclosure and they started a business and that business did not work out. They put their blood, their sweat, their tears into it. They sometimes were a contractor, and unfortunately they got hurt and injured. And as a result, they could no longer do that skill that they were so good at, or they could go back to doing it, but they were out for 6 months. And in that time, their finances just blew up. And I've talked to people who have started businesses and they invested their life savings into a franchise. And they look up and they're in debt to their eyeballs. They have SBA loans. They have leases they're trying to get out of. And the last thing to go is their house. I've talked to people over the years who try to go into partnership with other people. And the partnership just messed up over time. And as a result, they find themselves in tough financial situations. What I want to tell you is that do not be afraid to start something new. Do not be afraid to do something that is scary, that is uncomfortable, even when the situation ends up in foreclosure, even when it goes bad, even when it doesn't go the way you think it's going to go. And the reason why I say that is because when you do that, it could turn out to be the thing that changes your life. And for me, I just go back to when I was starting in real estate. It was me and 4 other guys. We were all fraternity brothers. And we had this idea. We said, we're going to just try to kind of flip a house. It was during the Great Recession. Houses were on sale and we all were doing our own thing. Some of us were working, some of us were in grad school, but we were like, we're just going to try this real estate thing. And so we would get on the calls every week talking. We were trying to gather up our little savings and trying to say, we're going to go buy a property. So months and months go by and then we identify a property. We were going to buy a condo in Buckhead in Atlanta. They did everything. We got the condo under contract, but there was a problem. And the problem was that there were 5 people. It was an LLC and some of us were students and some of us just started working. And one of us actually had been working for a while and could get a loan, but there were no business loans going on back then. It was not going to work with the business loan. And so the one person who could get a loan said, okay, I'll get the loan. He had to get the loan in his personal name, right? And we were going down that path. We were all going to chip in money, set up some agreements, and it was going to be all good. We were going to be, rich just by buying one condo. Long story short, this individual started talking to his dad, and his dad said, that's a very stupid idea. Don't do that. And in hindsight, I really can't blame his dad because, why would you want to sign your name on the loan for 5 different people, right? And so as a result, that deal didn't go through and that company fizzled out and we never bought anything. But although that situation did not end the way I wanted it to, it was the start of something else because me and another individual from that company linked back up a few years later and we have done numerous deals together. And that was really the start of something that was much bigger. And if I never was a part of that, I probably wouldn't be here talking to you now about this subject matter. And so although that didn't end the way I thought it was going to end, it set the seed. It was the seed, or it set the groundwork for what was to come. And so in life, when things don't end the way you want them to, don't take it for granted and say, oh, this was a waste of time. Just know that it could be the thing that sparks you to your next idea. I was there and I saw a family, and the family was pushing a stroller, parading up and down the street. And it was a husband and wife and a small child. And they were begging people not to buy their house. They had no clue of how the auction worked. They had no idea what was going on. But their last resort was to come to the courthouse steps and just beg people not to buy their house. And I saw that not just one time, but in my career, I've seen it multiple times. And those experiences still touch me today. Because when I think about the folks who are listening to this content, the folks who see this YouTube video, the folks who read the book, I think about those folks who didn't know what to do, didn't have all the modern technology we have today to be able to just Google what to do. And so that thing broke my heart. It still breaks my heart. At the end of the day, it's the reason why we have the Foreclosure Fix family. It's the reason why we are creating this content. It's the reason why I'm here to be a reminder that trouble doesn't last always and that your best is yet to come. It's the reason why we have this platform. It's for that family. It's for those families who I saw who had nowhere else to turn to. And so that thing that breaks your heart is probably the source of where your passion comes from. And so never, ever forget that. The next thing is when times are good, enjoy them. But when times are bad, you need to focus on the things that you can control. So in my experience, I've dealt with tons of different folks who have faced foreclosure. I've even had family members who have gone through the foreclosure process, leaving their houses and just saying, forget it. I'm just washing my hands with it and just moving on. I've had family members go through bankruptcy. I've helped people going through bankruptcy. I've been the lender on the other side of bankruptcy. And so I've seen people go through tough times. I've also, in probably one of the saddest moments of my life, I've been in the hospital when people are dying. I was there when my cousin just died last year. And it's just so sad for someone to be healthy one day and then fighting for their lives and eventually losing their lives the next. And so in those seasons of sadness, in those seasons of grief, in those seasons where everything is going wrong, the thing that you can do, and the thing that I want to remind you about, and the thing that I've seen get numerous people through those difficult times is remembering that when things are bad, you have to focus on the things you can control. I can't control the weather outside, but I can control if I have an umbrella. I can't control what God is going to do, but I can control how I react to it. I can't control what the traffic's going to be, but I can plan to leave a little bit earlier or stay a little bit later or do the things I can do to avoid the traffic. There's so many things in life we can't control, but what we can control is how we plan, how we prepare, and how we react. And so when things are going bad in your life, and everybody's life will have bad things go on. You know, one person once said, you're either in a storm, getting out of a storm, or headed into a storm. And so when things go bad in your life, the one thing you can control is how you react. And so when things are turbulent, when things are not going the way you want them to do, your goal is to focus on the things that you can't control. When you're facing foreclosure and you are spinning and you don't have enough money in your bank account, you don't have enough resources, what can you do? You need to focus on the things you can't control. All right. The final thing that I have come to learn is that balance the good with the bad in life. Oftentimes I talk to a lot of people who are retired on fixed income, and they're at that stage of life where they plan to be relaxing. They plan to have their feet up on the beach, enjoying the waves, hitting the water. They plan to be traveling the world, traveling, spending time with their grandkids. And unfortunately, they find themselves with not enough money to do any of the things they plan to do. And worse yet, they're losing their home to foreclosure. In those scenarios, what do? It always goes back to balancing the good with the bad. And what I mean by balancing the good with the bad, I mean that don't wait until you want to retire before you start enjoying the fruits of your labor. Every time I think about my life and I think about the life, the people who I interact with on a weekly, monthly, yearly basis, I always think about what is the best way you can enjoy the now, even if the now sucks. How can you enjoy the screams of a little baby? I think it's so interesting because when my first daughter was born, I remember when they let us take her home, and I was kind of shocked because I was like, this it? Like, my wife delivered her. We were in the hospital maybe 24 hours, maybe 36 hours. And they were like, all right, you can go now. And I was like, huh? Me? I don't know what to do. I'm ill prepared. Help me. And they were like, you'll figure it out. And when we took her home and she was crying, like we were both just like nervous, like, what do you do? What do you do? But at that time, those tears were just like joy to our ears because it was a prayer answer. And as time went on, those same tears that were a prayer answered in one season became so annoying when you're trying to sleep. And so the one thing that I loved in one season became an annoyance in another season. And that's oftentimes how it is with life, is that we get in these situations and these seasons where the things that were once things that we loved and enjoyed are now annoyances. And so when you remember to balance the good with the bad in life, no sunshine is an annoyance. It's always a blessing. It's not that it's too hot. It's like, man, I'm grateful that the sun gets to rain on my body and I feel the heat and warmth. It's not, I'm sad because it's a rainy day. It's like, oh, I'm thankful because the rain helps fertilize the soil and I get to just go dance and play in the rain. Everything is better. The birds chirping is not an annoyance. It's a blessing to hear it. And being able to go up the street for a quick trip or around the world for a long trip is all a blessing. And so you need to balance that because, again, we're going to have problems in this life. And the only thing that we can do is be able to have a perspective that is going to get better. And so those are my 4 key takeaways from dealing with tons of folks who have faced foreclosure. And as I look back over my real estate experience, the things that have allowed me to be successful, but not even just successful, is to have a mindset that no matter what happens tomorrow, I'm grateful that I was here today, and that I would be grateful that even in the midst of a storm, which I know eventually I'm going to be in another one, that I still have perspective that the best is yet to come. And that although this season may be challenging, this season may be tough, this season may be arduous, it may be the most difficult thing that I've ever faced, is that I'm built for it, that you're built for it, and that the best is yet to come. And I keep on saying that because I really believe it. And I want you to believe it. I want you to hear me when I say that. If you are facing a difficult time in your life, I don't take it for granted. I don't take it lightly because I know that when those things happen, you need people to encourage you. And I'm here to be your encourager today, is that what's happened to you may not be fear. What's happening to you may not be something that's easy to deal with. It may be the hardest thing you've ever faced. And I know that you just want to sit and you may want to sulk and you may want to be upset. And that's okay. Those are valid emotions and you can feel that way. And in all honesty, if I was in your situation, I may feel the same way. But I want to encourage you today. I want to encourage you to look at the sun a little differently. I want to encourage you to look at your kids a little differently. I want to encourage you to look at your spouse or your significant other just differently. I want you to look at the joy in their face when they ask, can you cook me some food? Can you make me dinner? I want you to look at the fact that even in the midst of whatever you're going through, you are still alive, you still have breath, and that you have the hope that tomorrow is going to be better than today. And so as you face this difficult season, I want to encourage you with everything that I have, all the breath in my lungs, is that your best is yet to come, and that tomorrow is going to be better than today. And the day after that is going to be better. And as you just put one foot in front of the other, as you do that thing that you know you need to do, things will work out for your good. And that is what I promise you, from having seen it from tons of folks who I work with, from seeing it in my own life, and from knowing that the plans that God has for you are awesome. So with that, y'all, those are my 4 key takeaways. And I want to do one thing. I want to go to my favorite part of the podcast, which is the bow tie round. And the bow tie round is where you, our listeners, get to tie one on with your host, DJ Olojo, right? The B in bow tie stands for your best advice for somebody facing foreclosure. The O stands for one thing you're grateful for. The W stands for your wildest or most interesting foreclosure related story. My best advice for you is to know that the best is yet to come in your life. I want you to soak it up in your spirit. I want you to get it deep down in your soul. And I want you to know that better things are coming your way. You have to believe it, because as a man and as a woman thinketh, so they are. You better believe that good things are coming your way despite what you may be going through right now. The one thing I'm thankful for all the contractors and vendors and service providers I work with. They are so essential to our business, and they just help me in so many different ways. So I'm grateful for all of my contractors, all those people who are painting houses and renovating houses and building decks and changing windows and putting on gutters and putting on roofs, all those things that I'm not very good at, but that they are very good at. I am happy to write those checks. So I'm grateful for my contractors. All right. And my wildest or most interesting foreclosure related story this week comes from somebody who ghosted me, right? And when I say ghosted, they straight ghosted me. They basically were going through the process of getting a loan modification. So they did all the hard work. They did all the hard work of communicating. They did all the hard work of getting all their documents in about their income. They verified everything. And we gave them a great modification option. They said, great, we're excited. We're going to take it. We sent them all the paperwork out. We did everything we were supposed to do in a timely manner. And y'all, they ghosted us. And I'm saying straight ghosted us. They didn't say anything. They stopped communicating. They started trying to call from different numbers. They started having other people try to call in, pretending it was them. It was like really eerie and the strangest thing. And unfortunately for them, we have started that foreclosure process. And so ultimately, this is just a reminder that do not play around with your lenders. You need to make sure that you do what you say you're going to do when you're going to do it. One of the things that you must do if you're facing foreclosure is be upfront, be honest, be truthful, and communicate exactly what you can and will do. Do not overpromise and underdeliver. It is not the time to do that. The other thing that's really interesting too are borrowers and homeowners who try to avoid their mail. Like, I have gotten numerous things returned to sender where people are just not trying to receive it. And these are not like certified letters. These are things that will benefit them, saying, hey, these are modification options. These are all these good stuff to kind of help you get out of your financial situation. And they are just not even willing to open the mail. So this is a reminder, you got to open your mail, because sometimes the lender's not out to get you. They're out to help you. And you got to keep that in mind. So with that, that ends another podcast episode. I hope you all enjoyed the 4 things that I've learned in my experience in working with homeowners facing foreclosure. As always, if you like this content, do me a favor, like, subscribe, or share it with someone who you know can benefit. Or better yet, give them a copy of our book, The Foreclosure Fix. Go ahead and leave us a 5-star review on any platform you're checking this out. It really helps the algorithm, and it really helps us get that message out of hope and love to all those people who may be facing a difficult time. As always, I sincerely appreciate you for listening. Thank you for tuning in. I love you. God bless you. And remember, best is yet to come. The views and opinions on this podcast are for informational purposes only and should not be construed as legal advice. If you have a specific legal question, we highly recommend you contact a qualified legal professional.